Okay guys, what we're gonna do today is create a logo for a fictional game that I have in mind, just a name that I came up with, being uh, Stargate London. So let's start by dividing up the canvas, making these guides. So we have the middle of the canvas. Now I'm gonna make a background border for the logo with the pen tool, and I will just make half of the border and then duplicate it and flip it horizontally so it's symmetrical on both sides. Now with the direct selection tool you can edit the handles of the different points. I want it to be something like this. This can be improved a little. Okay, so now we have our shape, and I'm gonna fill it with a gray somewhere a little below the middle, so it's more to the white side. I will make sure I made a new layer to do the fill on. Then right click, fill path, with the foreground color. Then I will delete the work path, else you will be, when you do Ctrl T, it will select the work path and scale the work path instead of the shape you have. So now if I Ctrl T, I can scale it up or down a little. Now I will duplicate the layer. Ctrl T, and we will flip horizontally. Then we will move it to the other side. And then we just merge the two layers, so it becomes one shape. I'm gonna put it underneath the text. Okay, I'm gonna disable the text for a minute, so I can do blending options, a bevel and emboss on the background shape. Blending options, bevel and emboss. Let's make the size a little smaller, like 6 pixels maybe. Let's make it 7. Then you can mess around with the angle, but I usually just use global light at 30 degrees. You can mess around with the contour, so it looks differently. I kinda like this one. Well, the lighting is a bit strange on this one. I usually go with the standard, the flat one, but I always try the different contours to see if I can find a better one. This one kinda looks better. I'm gonna go with this one. Now we got good lighting information coming from top right. You can see here, and on the top it's light, and in the corner to the bottom left we have shadow, which is kinda neat. Okay. Then control click on the image in the layer to select it. And we're gonna go select, modify, contract. Let's go for 10 pixels. Then we make a new layer. Layer, not group. So a new layer, and we will fill it. So I press G for the paint bucket, and we will fill it with a color. Some dark purple seems like it would work well with the background. I want it to be even darker. Nearly black, but with a slightly purple tint. Actually, let's scale it up again. I kind of wanted the letters to go outside of the border, but it seems like that doesn't look too good. Now let's add some bevel and emboss to the text, so it looks more like it's one with the border. It got the same style now. Let's import a little texture. It's just a Tron texture that I got from Google. We're gonna place it on top, and then we're gonna place it on top of the new layer you made to fill the inner of the border. So the black purple kind of shape, and we're gonna say create clipping mask. Then we're gonna play a little with the blend mode. Let's try overlay. That's not what I want. Screen maybe. Yeah, that's better. Now the purple comes through. Then we can mess around with the placement. Now I'm just going through the blend modes. Find a little neat one. Oh, that kinda looks neat. Luminosity blend mode here. But it kind of makes us lose the purple color we had in the inner background. Linear dodge kinda looks good. Screen. Yeah, let's go with screen for now. And then we can play a little with the opacity, so it doesn't shine that much, the lines of the texture. Okay, like 35 is good. Now I'm just taking the dodge tool and I'm gonna lighten the top, so we got a little more bright color. And then I will take the burn tool, which will darken. I will use that to darken the bottom. Let's go for a little blending option called Outer Glow on the text, like so, and take blend mode, either multiply and the red color. Let's make the opacity a little stronger. Multiply doesn't work very well with the London text because it's in a dark background. So let's try normal. Tone the opacity down a little, like 40. No, let's take softer. Then you can play with the size. Like that looks good, and you can play a little with the contour. So right now we got this one. Can make all kinds of nasty stuff. I kinda like this one. Let's go with the original I had, this one. Then something that really works well is on the inner layer, the purple one, using a blending option and making it inner glow. And if you put it on blend mode multiply with a black color, you make the shadow around the border, which makes it look like it's graved inwards, engraved. Let's increase the size a little, like so. And since the text is really wide, I'm gonna make the outer border a little more bright, so it's closer to white. So we take the paint bucket, take a close to white color, fill it. Now it's a little too bright to my taste. Somewhere there. I'm gonna go a little darker, because else you don't see the variance in the border. Like so. So now let's take a soft round brush and make it really flat. Come on. Something like so. Let's make it like 500 pixels. That's a little too big. Something like 150 pixels. Let's take a white color. And let's make a new layer beneath the text. Let's make it a clipping mask so it doesn't go over the border, so you can only see it in the purple area. Now I'm just gonna play around with the size again, because I actually really want the text to go outside of the border. No, I'm not happy with it. Obviously, if you made the shape at the very beginning and you're not happy with the shape of the background border, feel free to play around with the pen tool and create different shapes until you have one that you like. I am actually not too happy with what I have currently, but I already did a lot of work on it, so I'm gonna stick with it. And it's basically only for the purposes of showing you how you can do such things. So it's fine for now, it's just to practice. Let me think what else we can do to this. So I'm just gonna show you a few techniques how you can do cool stuff. It doesn't necessarily have to work out on this piece, but I'm just gonna show you how to paint highlights on the border to make it stand out more, and also add some edge damage, like these scratches on the border that can really bring your piece of art to life. I'm not sure if it will work out on this piece, but I'm just gonna show you. So let's take a hard round brush, 1 pixel, make the color pure white, and make a new layer on top. And now we're just gonna paint these white lines over the edge of the border. Now, since our border is pretty close to white already, you don't notice the white line that much. But if you make darker borders and you add this white line, it will really make the border stand out. Then we add lines over the corners. And you can see really obviously in the bevel and emboss where you want to make these lines. So here in the corners, here for example, then here in the corners, yeah, you probably don't notice the white lines much in the video, because I can barely see them myself. But like I said, if you make a border that's darker and you add these white lines, it will really make the piece stand out. So let's I'll just show you what it looks like when I make the border darker. That looks terrible actually, but yeah. You now can see clearly the white lines. Zoomed in it looks kind of terrible, but if you zoom at 100%, you can really see that the edges stand out a lot more, and usually you'll want to tone down the opacity, because pure white is really bright, and you don't want that much contrast in your design. So something like 50% or 70%. So now you really got a feeling that the border has a V shape. But yeah, let's make it 100% again and make the border lighter again. I'm just gonna play around with some colors now. I usually start out with a grey border because that always looks good, but sometimes you want to play with some color. This color now looks terrible, of course, but yeah. I kind of like the darker border, but what I don't like is these very dark things that the bevel and emboss brought upon the border. So we might want to paint those out.
Ben jij klaar voor het nieuwe seizoen?
I just want to pull that trigger.
We zijn...
So let's just make a new layer on top of all the other layers except for the text. Let's Alt to select the color, and then we'll paint out those dark artifacts. Let's make a hard round brush. The same here, pick the color and paint out those lighter artifacts. Let's call the layers properly. artifact fix. This would be inner border purple, outer border, background is fine. So now I'm gonna tone down the highlights again, because they are really too bright. Let's go for 50% maybe. That's better. Now let's create edge damage. So between layer 2 and highlights, I'm gonna make a new layer. Call it edge damage. Let's actually call it edge damage shadow. And we're gonna take a hard round brush, 1 or 2 pixels in size. We're gonna pick a nearly black color. You want to stay away from pure black, because that really makes too much contrast in your designs. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in a little, and to make edge wear, all you need to do is think about where the lighting comes from. In our case, the lighting comes from top right, and then we just paint some scratches on there. Alright, then let's make a new layer. Call it edge damage highlights. And then we're gonna do the same thing with a nearly white color. And now you have to take in mind where the lighting comes from. In our case, from top left, top right. So since the light comes from that direction, we're gonna paint the highlights on that side. Let's take a 1 pixel size instead of a 2 pixel size, because you want the highlights to be thinner than the shadow. Again, lighting comes from that side, so we paint it on the right side. Lighting comes from that side, so we paint it on this side. Lighting comes from there, so the lighting will be here. Now if you zoom to 100%, you can see that it looks pretty good. Now you can play around with the opacity or the fill of the layers. For example, the shadow, if you think it stands out too much, if the contrast is too big, you can tone it down to like 75% or even 50%. There, that looks better in my opinion. And the highlights definitely need to be toned down usually, so let's make them 50%. That looks good to me. Actually, I'm gonna make the shadow a bit more contrasty. 75. The highlights 65. That looks pretty awesome to me. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it here. I think we made a decent logo, and I hope you guys learned something from this. So yeah, let's stop the video here and we'll continue with creating some buttons in the next video. See you later, bye bye.